It's not just about Suno and Udio now. OpenAI, who made ChatGPT, is now making an AI music generator. This is pretty crazy because I've done so many videos about AI music and it's hard not to. It's a subject that's becoming more and more popular in both good and bad ways, depending on how you look at it. And you can see right here, OpenAI, who, like I said, made ChatGPT, is interested in developing a tool that could generate music from text and audio prompts and has been working with students from the Juilliard School to help creating training data. The company envisions something that could be used to generate guitar accompaniment for a vocal track, for example, or add music to videos. Sources with the knowledge of the project told the publication. Here's the interesting thing about this to me is, one, we know how big ChatGPT is, right? So this could be even bigger. Two, I think it's even a more interesting thing to me is the integration, right? As they're talking about, let's say I'm talking to OpenAI and I'm just having a conversation about whatever, the fact that I could quickly make music out of that is pretty wild to me. And then when you look at something like Sora, in case you didn't know, Sora, which OpenAI made as well, is a AI video generating tool. It's pretty crazy how powerful Sora is. I'm assuming you've already seen it. If you're watching this video, if you haven't, Google it. It's crazy how good these AI generated videos are. We've come a long way from the Will Smith spaghetti AI video, but the new version of Sora now includes sound effects, which means I could even say, make me a John Wick style fight scene and then make me a song that's like acid techno, like a typical John Wick style song. Boom, it can make it, right? Now here's the thing. There is no word on how far into these efforts OpenAI is, right? So a lot of this is kind of speculation of how deep they're going. Is it something that gets integrated with Sora, like I just said? Is it something that is maybe going to be a side feature? Or is it going to be a full-on music generator like Suno or Udio? According to one source that spoke to the information, OpenAI enlisted the Juilliard students to annotate music scores, which could be used to train the AI. It wouldn't be the first time the company has explored music generating AI, and it's something that we've seen more and more of elsewhere with other startups like Suno and 11 Labs. I've talked about Suno a million times on this channel. I use Suno for fun here and there. I do have an AI artist, but yeah, And AI spam is already cluttering up streaming platforms, like, we've talked about a lot on this channel. And lest we forget, there was the whole Velvet Showdown debacle, which, if you remember, I've talked about this, that basically it was like a band that got pretty big, and then people realized, wait a minute, it's actually AI generated. And this is, as it says here, only the beginning. And I gotta be honest, I do feel a bit mixed about this in a different way than Suno and Udio, I'm gonna be honest. Because I feel like when it comes to Suno and Udio, there are some instances when we talk about music. I think there's a couple different things going on here when it comes to AI music. But one, of course, is people just making it. Spamming streaming services, I've talked about this, that is Spotify taking down AI music. In some ways, it seems like they are. It seems like in some ways that they're not. It is a tough one, but I think the second thing when it comes to music, which is an interesting one, is it taking people's jobs, right? This has been a whole hot debate in general, big picture, AI taking over people's jobs in numerous different industries, not just the music one. And I have talked about that last year. I think I talked about it, how one director said that he's now going to be using AI to make a lot of his soundtracks for his movies because it's quicker, faster, cheaper. You don't have to worry about human drama of like you getting in an argument with another person if you agree with their creative take on how a song should sound, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a lot of interesting things going on in the AI world, and then especially the AI music world. But when I look at Suno and Udio, I do kind of feel like these are platforms that are, if I were like this, it feels like it's almost created with musicians in mind. I don't know if that's a hot take. I don't know if people will agree with me on that, but I do kind of feel like with Suno and Udio, these platforms are almost like mini DAWs now. When you have even Suno Studio, where you could edit a lot of things pretty in depth, I do kind of feel like they're the kind of platforms that do have musicians in mind. At least that's the way I view it. Now, I may be wrong, but that's the way I view it, at least. Is it in a good way or a bad way? You could argue that till the cows come home. And I do feel like Suno, you're in a different category than what this is doing. And that's why I'm kind of curious to see how OpenAI is going to approach this, where is going to be the situation where OpenAI, like I said, does make their full-on AI music generator, where I can go to ChatGPT, which is probably how they're going to integrate it, and say, hey, can you just make me a song of maybe, like I said, a John Wick style acid techno record, and it just does it. Is it going to be as in depth as something like Suno, where Suno's pretty intricate now with a lot of the features? Like I said, the Suno Studio, you can break out all the stems and extract them individually. You can create personas to have a certain vibe if you like the way a song felt in terms of the persona or the vibe. So there's a lot of different things you can do, which I really like about that when it comes to Suno. Will this be more minimal in its approach? Or, which is another thing I'm kind of curious about, is this going to be something, as I kind of mentioned here in the article, that's going to be more of a side feature? It's not like I'm going to go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I want you to make me a full-on song, but it's something that's going to be maybe a side tangent, like I said, where it's like, let's say on Sora, you want to do a scene of someone walking down, I don't know, the streets of Mexico, and they already can make it with the AI generator when it comes to the video. They can already now add in the sound effects of someone walking down the streets of Mexico. But maybe they're like, hey, you know what? Maybe you could have a flamenco style guitar, or a band playing, right? Or whatever. Basically have some kind of like, music behind it. So it's not just sound effects. Like a mariachi band, for example, playing in the corner. I don't know. So I'm just kind of using different examples where it does kind of make me wonder, is this something that's going to be integrated with Sora? Is it something that's going to be integrated with ChatGPT? Where if I write lyrics, can it make me a song close to them, similar to Suno? Because what's interesting right now, I will say this, and I think a lot of people are now starting to talk about this, and this could be both good and bad depending on how you look at it. I think if anything, maybe good in the sense of the way things are flipping. I do think we are kind of living in an AI bubble, and a lot of people have talked about this in the sense that right now, there are so many companies trying to be the next big ChatGPT, the next big Suno. ChatGPT and Suno are kind of the biggest in their kind of own repertoire, with Suno, of course, with music, ChatGPT with like text prompts and whatnot. But I do kind of feel like that we are living in an AI bubble that might pop soon. I don't think I've mentioned that actually at all in any videos, but it is something that's popped into my head where, I guess pun intended, popped into my head where I do feel like we are living in a potential era of like, okay, yes, there's a lot of powerful things about AI. There's a lot of benefits to them. I mean, I use ChatGPT all the time. I'll admit it. I do use Suno. More for fun. I think, if anything, I use ChatGPT more seriously, if I'd word it like that. There's a lot of advantages to AI. There's no denying that. And again, it's very tricky yin and yang where, is it utopian or dystopian? And some people might argue it's utopian to be able to go to ChatGPT and be able to do things before that you couldn't before in a more efficient manner. And I've used it in a way that I'm like, man, ChatGPT is such a great tool for me to use when I need it. On the other end, a lot of people look at things like ChatGPT as very dystopian and saying, man, this is taking my job. But, and we all know this is happening. That all being said, though, I do think, again, for better or for worse, you could argue this in a whole other subject for a whole different video, is AI bubble about to burst? There are probably over 50 different AI music generators out there. Do we need 50? I don't know. Is the AI generating market that big where someone should jump into it right now? I don't know. And that's why if I had to give a theory, and this may be wrong, I do feel like not Suno, but ChatGPT or OpenAI basically is looking at this as more of a side thing. And I would predict that they're not trying to be like the next Suno. I don't think that ChatGPT and OpenAI, and I know I keep saying ChatGPT just because most people I think know ChatGPT more than OpenAI. It's kind of like how most people know about Facebook more than Meta kind of thing. I do feel like that I don't see them trying to compete with Suno as being like, oh, let's make this then something similar to like Suno Studio and you can extract stems. I feel like they're saying, okay, we already have text. We already have images, of course. We already have video. We already have video with sound effects. Why not add music? Why not? Maybe it's on our forefront, right? But why not have the ability to, in some way, shape, and form, combine things with music? If, let's say, I'm making an image, why not have a little 20-second riff to go along with it? If, let's say, of course, I'm making a video, regardless of what it is, whether it's a John Wick style fight scene, someone walking in Mexico, like say someone in Brazil doing capoeira and they want the Bernabéu in the song, like in different scenarios, maybe they're just saying, why not have the ability to make music too? We already generate all this stuff from text to speeches to poems to images to videos. Why not add music? That's kind of, if you think about it, like for you, it's like text, images, videos are kind of like the three trifectas right now of AI generation when it comes to a lot of this AI generated stuff, and you might even argue AI slop, right? Like, I think one of the subtitles of this article was "The Slop Continues." And I did do a video about that. Do I think AI music is AI slop? Personally, no. I think in some ways it could be, and I think we would argue that, but I think I'd probably lean towards the side of saying it's not. But a lot of people would say no. AI music is still AI slop, especially because a lot of it can be a little cheesy, a little hokey. I might even use the word more on the level of like a meme music. But we'll have to see, But one thing I will say when it comes to this, which is really interesting, as we're kind of like nearing the edge or nearing the downhill, I feel like, of AI stuff. In a sense, now I may be wrong, but I do feel like the AI bubble is starting to get a little prevalent, and like the term even AI bubble, I'm seeing a lot more. I do feel like we're in an era that people are like, okay, this AI stuff's gotten enough. It's still going to get better. There's no denying that, but is the hype around AI as big as we think it is? Or maybe is it just a bubble that's going to burst, like the .com bubble, like the housing bubble, etc.? We'll have to see, but at the end of the day, 2026, I feel like is going to be a very interesting year for AI, especially with OpenAI jumping into the music generation world and the music generation situation. We'll have to see what happens.